Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Hey, welcome everybody. It's another episode of Dr. Homebrew. We are here. We got some homebrewers lined up, ready to go. Our friend Julio is on the phone, and we're going to drink a double IPA, and then I think like an alt beer for the next segment. I can't really remember, but I'm very excited about one of these beers, and I bet you can guess which one. Which one it is. Man.
I can
I apologize.
No, please don't. No, it's more just for funsies than anything. Speaking of having fun, the people at 5 Star have a ton of fun making proper chemicals for you to clean and sanitize your home brew. I'm assuming they do. I don't know. You can't be doing this, without having a little fun. You know what I mean? So, 5starchemicals.com. Learn about everything you need to make great beer at home, which is clean and sanitize. And I don't, unfortunately, have a new use for PBW story for this show. I usually have one lined up, but I don't.
The dishwasher one is a good one. I mean, you always go back to that.
That's true.
Run a little bit through your dishwasher and clean out especially a really bad like hard water and stuff. Just clean stuff out a little bit. It doesn't hurt.
All right, Julio, what's up, man? Welcome back.
Hey, yeah, we got another one for you.
Yeah, it's a noticeably smaller bottle this time, and I don't know if I'm disappointed or pleased.
Well, because this one's a little heavier of a beer, so okay. I thought it was prudent to, shrink it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. We're Strong American Ale Double IPA, category 22A is what you have on the label. And is this your first shot doing this too, or not?
Yes, it is.
All right.
I thought let's see what all the hype is about dumping massive hops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
I think that it definitely works as far as having a bit of complexity and aroma and all that. It is also very expensive.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
That's why those 4-packs cost $22 these days. From the good breweries.
All right, Cooper. Why don't you go ahead and start us off with this double IPA?
Okay. I cracked it and I got almost no hiss this time.
That's actually something I was afraid of.
I didn't
seems that over the time of it sitting, it actually lost a little bit of its pressure, because this was actually carbonated a lot more than the other one was.
Yeah. So when I opened the first swing top last night, it was the large format bottle, maybe it was this. Well, it's larger than a 12 ounce anyway, but it actually had a nice hiss, kind of a medium hiss, and the bottle was a little bit dusty. It might have been from the packaging or the shipping, but
it was from the shipping. It looked
like it had been sitting on a shelf for a while, but it was like, oh, that's probably just from the packaging.
It's that egg crate sort of pressed paper container that he put it in. Yeah.
So, Mr. Shar, I just opened mine, and it almost had no hiss. So, anyway. I will taste this one and rate it as compared to what it was last night with the carbonation and an actual head on it. So this is different than what I had last night. It's aroma wise, to me it was bright and intense. I'm getting a little less of that, but had a nice hop presentation up front. It was a high citrus, giving kind of a liminess with a medium high resiny grapefruity notes, kind of a good classic American style classic late 90s double IPA note. If that's such a thing. It has that note.
Smells like the 90s.
A little orangey. Yeah. Smells like the 90s. Striking back. All right. Very lightly malty in the background, perfumey and a bit floral. Pretty pungent, nice clean ale, is evident with moderate fruity esters. Again, no DMS or diacetyl, anything bad in there. Just cleanly fermented. Appearance-wise, is a rich amber-colored beer, kind of towards the orangey tinge. I thought the sample almost was a little orangey, like I don't know. Maybe I'm with the haze. It has kind of a grayish aspect to it too, but it's not really gray. Just kind of a weird, like the orangey, but a little, fairly hazy, but not like a modern hazy IPA. Just like the classic ones that you got that were like, okay, yes, hop haze is allowed. And we put a lot of it in there. It had a medium high whitish head with pretty good retention, mostly finer bubbles. This one has no bubbles. I gave it a 2 out of 3 for appearance because of the haze. Flavor wise, to me, the high bitterness came out first. Oh, this has an orangey. There's a lot of oranginess here in the flavor, and it's maybe more noticeable without as much spritziness in the carbonation in the way it comes across like a fruit juice almost. Lower hop flavors, the same kinds as in the aroma. Compared to the aromas, it was like the hop flavor was expressing itself a little less intensely that I got in the aroma. But that was fine. It's just not quite as bright, or was maybe obscured by the bitterness and the alcohol a bit, which is also high. Though it is smooth and it finishes semi, kind of between semi-sweet and semi-dry. It's got a little sweet edge to it, and which some of it may be from the alcohol. But I like the double IPAs to just be like, bone dry and you want to take another sip. That's kind of the classic. So like to see what it finished at, and it'd be just nice to know. It is hard to massage these and get the sugars right and everything to then keep your yeast happy through that whole chewing through all that stuff to get it just to the point where it is as dry as you want a double IPA to be. The balance is still definitely the hops. Their flavors are citrusy, and again, a lightly sweet alcohol kind of lingers throughout into the aftertaste. It's cleanly fermented, no off flavors, no diacetyl, anything like that. I'm not getting any of that at all. So it's nice and clean. Good job fermenting. Your yeast was it was kept happy and maybe just not quite as attenuative as I would like for the finish. Mouthfeel wise, it's medium, full bodied. I mean, it's definitely not barley wine like, but it's a bit high. You'd want it more like towards medium, or almost seeming kind of medium light, despite everything that's there. It has a modest alcohol warmth, but that's smooth. It's not hot or biting at all. Medium high carbonation, no astringency noted. Overall, there's a lot going on. It's a little fuller than expected for the style, just a bit, but with the alcohol and with the spritziness that it had in the initial sample, and everything else is like it's a jungle of fun here to taste through and feel in your mouth. Overall, I would say this beer has a wonderfully hoppy and inviting aroma, and checks off a lot of the boxes for the style, especially on the kind of classic side of things. It's clean and well brewed. I still would like a little bit more attenuation to let those nice aromas that are there shine through as brightly and as intensely as they did in the aroma on that first sniff. The semi-sweet finish kind of fights with the hops a little bit and makes it a little harder to just taste them. But then the sample here that I have tonight with the lower carbonation is coming across with more of like a juicy quality, and it's not quite fighting the same way because the bitterness is not as intense. Like the carbon dioxide will definitely push up a lot of the bitterness, and the hops will come through a little more with that, and all the flavors just be pushed through to your palate a little better and to your nose a little better. So yeah, it's just a little bit less of a dangerous easy drinker than many drier IPAs, because that's kind of the hallmark of the style. Is it's so dry. Again, you just take a sip and it's like dries off. There's the hops, boom, and you just want another sip. So like it's unlike a bourbon barrel aged stout with coconut, you can actually almost kind of pound it. You probably wouldn't want to just pound it, but like a double IPA, on a bet or a dare, you could pound it. It's just there are a lot of fine points here. It needs mostly just kind of balance and slight ferment improvements. On the second one, it definitely needs the carbonation to stay in it. So I gave it a 36 last night, and as the sample as it is tonight, I'll probably go down into the lower 30s or 30, 31, just because it's not there's it's a flaw to have that missing. So, but yeah, that's a bummer. That what I have another bottle I could open. I could see if it's doing that. So while Brian's talking, I could go get that one and
There you
see
go.
what the third bottle does.
Everything for the name of science, Brian.
Yeah. I gave it a 36, and I'd love to hear what your recipe is, because I do really like the hops that are used in there, and it's a very good beer. So I will mute myself and let Brian talk now.
All right. So I won't probably talk as long as Cooper, because blah, 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 blah. But no. I knew there was going to be trouble when I opened up the bottle with the swivel top, and there was no hiss at all and no release of gas. And that's a thing that the swivel top bottles are cool, and I like them. I've used them for a number of things. If you've got the time and the ability, it's always probably best to check the gaskets. Although, I'm not even sure how you check the gaskets at a homebrew level. You know what I mean? By the time they've worked or failed, it's been like a week or two, and I don't know. Maybe someone smarter than me or more experienced than me knows how to check the gaskets with that. Initial aroma was grassy and citrus, very pronounced, and smelled really good. Low sweet malt in the background, no off aromas. I gave the aroma a 9 out of 12. Appearance 3 out of 3. It's somewhat hazy, but it's not like a hazy IPA. It's the hot polyphenols in there. Double IPA, not unusual to have that level of haze. It's kind of funny how in 2021 we've got to talk about, is this like a haze like from hot polyphenol, or is it like a hazy double IPA? It's always...
How dare you?
But hey, things always change, and we change with them, right? The color is amber/orange in color. No head, which I didn't knock any points off of. I think that had to do more. By the time I was at this point in the score sheet, I wasn't noticing that there wasn't any carbonation. I was more like, all right, this is just a high alcohol double IPA, so probably no head. So 3 out of 3. Flavor. Initially, the flavor was citrus hops. It's funny when Brian said juicy. I got like a juicy orange character.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, hop flavor dominates through mid palate when the bitterness comes up, but the hop flavor is still throughout this entire drinking this whole thing. The hop flavor is pretty much dominant. Bitterness is still kind of takes a back seat to the hop flavor. It's well attenuated, which is great. Like we were talking about in the previous show, the higher the alcohol is, the more difficult it is to get it attenuated properly without fusels or anything else. And there were no fusel alcohols or off flavors that I could tell. Finish is moderately long and hop flavored. Give it 8 out of 20 for flavor. Mouthfeel 3 out of 5, and that's because of the lack of carbonation. There's body's medium. The lack of carbonation makes it kind of limp and watery to me. And I'm not going to harp on this too much because Cooper did not have Cooper's bottle was fine.
I got both experiences though. Tonight I had I got what you had.
Exactly. So 3 out of 5. Overall impression 6 for a total of 29, which is in the high end of good. There's only one bottle, so that I had available to me, so I couldn't go open a second bottle. Ordinarily, if this happened in competition, where there was no carbonation, I would ask the steward to bring the second bottle. That's why you have like 3 bottles in a comp, right? So like you open that first one, the first one is a problem. Let me get a second one because there might be some weird bottle variation, and I want to be fair. But because I only had the one, I had to judge the one that was in front of me. I'd be kind of curious clearly from Brian's experience, your beer was carbonated before bottling, and this wasn't an issue with pre-bottling. And this is somehow a bottle issue, or somehow there was a gasket problem or something else that just caused the carbonation to go away. So I'm not an expert in the swivel tops, but that would be a thing to kind of look into and be sure that those swivel tops are sealing properly and you're not having the carbonation get out. But still, I still thought it was worth a 29. I liked what you were going for. I liked the flavor. I like the aroma, and it's just unfortunate the lack of carbonation kind of knocked a lot of the things that you were going for out of the way.
So here it is, the moment of truth. I have what I think would be Brian's second bottle, but he only got one. So it was probably my fault. I delivered them to him. I probably snuck one out of his box there because I knew this was going to happen. I don't know, but here's the moment of truth. Ready? Let's see.
Oh no!
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a little hiss. There was a little hiss when I did it.
So I heard the first hiss for sure. I got none of that on mine.
It kind of stuck. It kind of stuck to the top.
I mean, that's the problem with the Grolsch bottles.
Okay.
It's just inherently they're hit or miss with carbonation.
Okay. Yeah, this one has some carbonation.
Yeah.
It's definitely the other one poured with no head whatsoever. So
same.
Yeah, this one had a light hiss when I thought when I flipped it, it was still stuck to the top. Like it has a little something kind of connecting it, and then I lifted it off and I went. So there was something there.
Yeah.
And this looks more like last night.
Good.
This tastes more like last night's. This is the 36-point version. Oh yeah. It just the carbonation. It's amazing what a difference carbonation makes. And carbonation level is something you can pay a lot of attention to, especially when you're bottling things for competition, to make sure you get it right. Because if you're filling bottles from a keg, it can be perfect in the keg. It's like perfect carbonation for the style. And then you put it in bottles, it's not quite. It goes a little lower. It's not quite right. If you're bottle conditioning, you can say, okay, well, my batch came out at 4.5 gallons instead of 5. I'm just going to use the corn syrup that came with the kit and do it. And no, because that's going to push your carbonation for that style into way higher than it should be. Not way, way higher, but it's going to affect all the flavors, and pushes a lot of the aromas and stuff out. And it also can give you a little bite, especially on some of the lighter styles. You have too much. Well, some of the lighter styles, like a light American lager, you just need a lot of carbonation to have that be right. And then, it's got to be spritzy, or there's nothing else there for it to have, it's just, but anyway, I'll stop. This one's at a good level of carbonation for the style.
So I do have one question. How much time were those bottles in refrigeration?
Well, not for long. Not for very long, because I just had no room. So I had to wait until I got a session out of the way and then put your beers in the fridge. So I've had your beers in my fridge. I don't know. Brian, when were you here? Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sunday
Okay. That's still long.
Okay,
that's
good.
the funny thing. All these bottles have been basically ambient temperature.
Yeah.
And then I would throw them into the fridge just to get them down cool enough. And then, of course, there was still CO2 that wasn't absorbed into solution. So I would notice that hits. Yeah. So I think that by chilling it, it absorbed, whatever CO2 wasn't in solution, and then wasn't enough to, maintain.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Okay, can we definitely go through your recipe though, and
sure.
You get your hops that you used, and there's a really nice classic usage of hops.
So the funny thing is that this is Pliny the Elder clone.
Okay.
So it's a little bit from Jamil's book, Brewing Classic Styles, and a little bit from I forget which one of the websites that did a clone also. And it's 12 pounds of 2-row. 4.5 ounces of caramel 40, 13.8 ounces of Carapils, a pound of dextrose, and for the hops, we got 2.75 ounces of Warrior at 90, 5 ounces of Chinook at 90, 1 ounce of Columbus at 45, 1 ounce of Simcoe at 30, 2.25 Centennial at flame out, 1 ounce Simcoe at flame out, and then dry hopped with 3.25 ounces of Columbus, 1.75 ounces of Centennial and 1.75 of Simcoe.
A lot of those
And-
hops start with the letter C. I'm noticing that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of that orangey,
Yeah,
you're getting there.
that's the Columbus with yeah, definitely the CTZ kind of character in there.
And I kept it pretty cool. I'd say 68. Yeah, I kept it 68 for most of its time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, with the carbonation, I wish Brian could taste it. It's not a it's hard to clone Pliny, but it's really not that terribly far off. It's in the very good, almost towards excellent
And there's
territory there.
another dry yeast situation with some Safale 05.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What did it?
I think that's great.
Gotta believe this would be like a 10-point higher beer if it were carbonated.
Damn it, man.
For me. So I kind of say just ignore my score and go with Cooper because it's one thing went wrong, right? One thing was not right, and all the things that you did right. So kind of ignore my uncarbonated bottle.
Actually, that brew day, a lot of things went wrong.
Hell
Sometimes
yeah, dude.
those are the best beers,
Yeah.
Well, I saved the good beer. What ended up
Yeah.
happening was during transfer, once I was already knocked out, there was a bit of a slip and fall situation. I can't even explain it, honestly. Just blacked out. And I took down the kettle with me, and about a gallon and a half probably ended up on the floor. 4.5 ended up, staying in the
Wow.
fermenter, though.
That's amazing. What did your starting gravity and finishing gravity end up at on the?
Oh, so I actually cut it off at 1010. I'd say, I don't know what the starting exactly was, but I did the math. It was 7.7%.
Okay, so it was dry. Brian was right.
Damn it.
I think
hate it when that
the
happens.
sweetness might be coming from the alcohol or the oranginess kind of combining or something like that. To me, there's something that just gives it a semi-sweet impression in the finish, but it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
I
it is.
dry hopped at 3 days. So I
Yeah.
did, give some time before, dumping stuff immediately into the fermenter.
Mhm.
And I think that, gave it some time to, mellow out and, not freak out.
Yeah. No, it's a well done beer. I enjoyed it quite a lot, and a really nice inviting aroma. It just checks off a lot of the boxes for that classic double IPA. And I was like, this is an OG, like this is old school double IPA. This is not the modern variety. Like and Pliny was like the original, so pretty much.
Basically what I can't find on the East Coast. Everything is a mess here. Everybody's selling
Right.
some New England mess. We're not even in New England. Like New Jersey is nowhere near that, and they're selling all that garbage here. And yeah, so this was my revolt. This is let me see if I can do something a little different, and try something that I can't find around here.
Yeah. Oh, you
That's
still
cool-
couldn't help
cool
putting
idea,
a little
man.
haze in there. But
Well, that's the hops, man. Come on, that's the style.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
hot. That's
True.
polyphenol haze. That's not like oats and whatever. And I
Right.
like
Yeah.
oats and stuff, but that's classic, just polyphenol haze.
yep,
True.
You can get it out of there if you want to.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
when I actually have a setup that isn't my apartment right now. I'm working with Classic Carboys here.
Okay.
There
Nice.
you go.
Well,
You're
it's-
going
yeah.
totally old school and everything, Julio.
You got to do it.
I'm doing what I can. Like
You gotta do it.
It's tough.
Nice.
I work on a mail carrier salary here.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so you're stealing everyone's checks. I know. You're rich, man.
If you can prove it, go ahead. Oh man.
Good one.
I wish, man. I'd be riding around in a Porsche. Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Well, we wish the Brewing Network had some money, or we'd send you some swag and stuff. But,
That's true.
Yeah. No.
Oh God, Julio, you got to send us some more beers, man. It's been really awesome having you on here. And
Definitely.
I want to just bake whatever, brew whatever you want to brew and send it in. I want to drink it and talk to you some more.
Hell yeah.
Here's my suggestion. Like, I agree with you on the 12-ounce bottles.
Mhm.
You can get sturdy long neck bottles. There is a certain kind of bottle that is thicker and more robust, and it's going to stand up to the capping. And yeah, you have to fill a few more bottles. whatever. But you can definitely like find those bottles that are thick and sturdy and ready to go, and cap those with a crown top cap, or get a canning system, like you said. Maybe that's the solution. Send us some cans of they're getting cheaper
with the bench top. You could, I think you also can adjust the head, so maybe your head just down too low, so when you push it down, it's putting too much pressure on.
I was usually using the wing style capper, and I would like just crank on it, and I wanted that cap to be on there good, so I'd go like three ways, and then I'd just crack on the third one.
But my problem was that honestly, I was using recycled bottles, so it would be beers that I just finished. I'd clean them, sanitize them, and then try to use those. But it can only handle so many uses before they fall apart. Some of them are a lot thinner than others.
Yes.
The swing tops have their pros and cons, we'll say.
That's true.
Leave it at that.
And you know what Jamil said 10, 15 years ago, and I took his advice, and he's right. If you're entering competition, and this is like if you're entering competition, go buy new bottles, right? The cost of entering a competition versus the cost of buying some new ones, just get new ones. And I dicked around for so many years. I mean, I'm the guy. I've been a home brewer for 30 years. I've tried to sanitize bottles in the dishwasher. Oh, hell no, don't do that. Because the water doesn't get up. You can put the Star San and all that stuff in the dishwasher. It never gets up inside the bottle. And then all that, whatever leftover yeast you get in that heat cycle, it just bakes and crusts under the inside. It's just nasty.
It's not good.
Just buy new bottles for competition.
So these were new bottles.
Yeah.
Okay.
These were brand new. Like these were the first beer that were in there, and I didn't expect this out of at least the 16 ounce ones. These pints.
Yeah. Well, and this is sort of what happens with Grolsch. I mean, even when I was working at Morebeer, we get customer service complaints every now and then of like, look, I have 12 Grolsch bottles and 4 of them leaked CO2. What's going on? It's like that's just that's the nature of the closure.
Yeah,
so it happens.
That's actually about right with what I'm seeing. I've had maybe 2 like that so far.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me you've got what was it, 3?
I got 1.
They were a little, one each. That ended up being a little iffy. So at that point I bought 2 cases. Yeah. I'm due for at least 2 or 3 to fail.
Hell yeah.
On my side.
Yeah. All right, Julio. We'll let you go, man. Unless you have anything else.
I do wonder if maybe putting a little bit of like keg lube or something underneath the rubber where it seals would help it seal and really hold it. Like
silicone
something
lube never hurts. Never hurts.
Yeah.
There we
go. When you're keeping your kegs healthy and you want to anyway. But that's another topic we could talk about sometime.
I gotcha. All
Thanks,
right,
man.
All right, Julio.
Thank you.
This was actually brewed on June 30th, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice and fresh.
Right there.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah,
Thanks,
for sure, man.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Julio.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a quick break, everybody. We're going to come back with the next beer. Hang on, it's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
Dr. Homebrew, please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. No, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
All right, and we're back. Thanks a lot, everybody, for sticking around. We have Dave on the line here with an alt beer, I believe. Dave, what's going on, dude?
Hey, how you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. About to crack open an alt beer, which is not something I can really say for every show. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Is this something you've done before?
Like alt beer.
Is this something that you've made before?
Yeah, this is our 3rd version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hopefully it's our better version. Hopefully.
That's why it's called Dirty German's Dry instead of Dry or Eins.
When you say our version, what do you mean?
My son and I brew together.
Oh, nice.
Tristan and I. So we call ourselves Shit Show Brewing.
Okay, sounds accurate.
Pretty much every brewery something goes totally sideways.
Yep.
It's a scramble to get it back right.
Hell yeah, dude.
I bet most people could probably say that, though, right?
It happens, yeah. I think
it's a common experience.
Commercial brewers have that shit, too.
Yeah. So there's also a radio show in the afternoons that I listen to, and they have this little bit with the Dirty Germans. So that's where I kind of got the idea of the Dirty Germans.
Nice. I love it. Okay, great.
This is an alt beer,
wir
by the way.
Germans and we are dirty, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aus der Part on sprockets when we dance.
Is this the part of Dr. Homebrew where we dance? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is the part of Dr. Homebrew where Brian Shaw goes first.
Are we just speaking bad German accents for the whole show?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Go, Brian. Go, Brian.
All right. I really like this beer a lot. I love alt beer. And it's one of those things where I love IPA, but the conquering of all craft beer by IPA kind of knocks out some of the great things that we used to have available sometimes, like a really nice alt beer. This is a aroma 10 out of 12, rich dark malt, like an artisan baked, like a good artisan bread crust. And it's not like that, it has to be baked within an inch of its life. It's just a nice artisan bread, crusty aroma, very low spicy hops, no off aromas. It's what you want from an alt beer. So that type of aroma you expect. So 10 out of 12. Appearance 3 out of 3. The head is heroic and exceptionally long lasting. I could probably pour that beer out and the head would still be in the glass. I mean, that's just how much head is in there.
You could stand a penny on that head.
I could personally, I'm not a thin man. I'm not giant, but I could probably stand on that head. Maybe we shouldn't try it. I mean, I'm a little tipsy, but probably a bad idea. But it's classic German, huge head, slight haze in the beer, but overall very clear. Kind of a medium brown color, 3 out of 3. Flavor. First impression is a very rich malt. Again, that kind of dark bread crust, artisan bread, just a really good, not doughy, not overly burned, but just right where you want this beer to be. In mid-palate, bitterness comes up to almost balance. This is a malty beer, so the balance is always, to me, toward the malt. It's well attenuated, sort of a low peppery hop flavor. Finish is long and balanced toward the malt. 16 out of 20 for flavor. Mouthfeel 5 out of 5. Medium body, medium low carbonation. I get some slight warming, which it's a 5% beer, but hey, that you get some warming from that. Creamy. I get a little light mineral character from it, but as the style guidelines talk about, that's okay for this style. And that slight minerality is good. So overall impression, 8 out of 10. So I gave that a 42 total, which is squarely in the excellent range. I really love this beer. I want to hear later on, after you've talked to Brian, if you mashed, and if so, if you decocted, and I want to hear about just your grain bill and mash regime, if that's what you did. It's hard to imagine what much you could do to improve this beer. Maybe a little slightly greater amount of aroma and flavor hops would be welcome. But overall, I mean, you're in the squarely in the territory of the 40s. I think this is really well done, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to drink some more of this while you're talking to Cooper.
All right, Cooper, you're up, baby.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I had a pretty strong hiss at uncapping. I got a tall bottle of it, so that was nice.
You're welcome.
He ran out of the 12s, I guess, is the story. At least that's what he's telling us.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to bribe us. I don't know. Aroma-wise, clean ale with a nice toasty and slightly hoppy quality to it. I do like that artisan bread descriptor. That's actually really good. It has a medium dark breadiness, like not a dark or pumpernickel bread or anything like that, but it's kind of like the not white bread, not dark bread, but kind of that medium dark bread alongside a really characterful, spicy herbal hop note. No off aromas, any DMS or diacetyl, anything like that. I do also maybe get just a slight resin quality in the hop. But yeah, like overall, just the balance and the nose seemed really promising and inviting. I gave it a 10 out of 12 for aroma as well. I think that's what Brian gave it. Appearance wise, richly copper colored beer with start out fairly low head, but it persisted well throughout. And it did, both samples I had did have a kind of a medium low haze to it. It should be brilliantly clear. I did not get down a point for haze. Mostly finer bubbles covering the surface. It's just like the head just stays consistent and even, and it's always there as you drink it. Flavor wise, it's richly malty and hoppy at the same time, almost an even balance, but I think the malt might win out slightly just with that rich breadiness to it. Very fresh tasting, clean, low temperature ale fermentation seems evident here. The malt has a toasty, fresh, darker bread note. Hops are spicy, but also a bit resinous. I'm wondering if they're almost just a little too American hop-like there. I'm not sure what hops were used, but or there may be a blend of hops that's expressing itself that way. But the finish is semi-dry, or maybe that resiness is coming from somewhere else altogether. I don't know. Something combining with the alcohol, I'm not sure, but finish is semi-dry. The bitterness is nice and medium high. It's nice. It's up there, balancing the maltiness and not like classic 90s IPA high hoppiness or bitterness, but it's firm. And like when I've judged many or when I've tasted many alt beers, when we went through our judging classes, and I got an alt beer that had shipped over from Germany, and it was probably wonderful tasting when it was shipped from Germany or when it was first brewed in the brewery and ended up in the bottle. And then it made its way to America and sat on a shelf at some store for months. And we got it somehow and found it. And they're not easy to find here, but I've never been to Dusseldorf. So the thing is, this was it's a pleasure to taste one that's fresh. And like, that's what that should have tasted like, kind of, So anyway, it's a well-balanced beer. And this is probably one of the better ones that I've tasted in my life, because I've never been to Dusseldorf and I've judged a few competitions in my life, but we're not, most judges I know haven't tasted a really good alt beer. And so this is kind of eye-opening for me too, in a way. And so the mouthfeel wise, it's medium bodied, medium high CO2. It has I agree with the very faint warming. Like there's something there that's just a little bit, it seems like it might be slightly high alcohol for the style, or towards the higher end of the style. Or else it's just something else that's making it seem like it's warming me, but there's no astringency here. It's really smooth, despite the bittering's prominence here. Not a creamy beer or anything like that. It's just there's a suggestion of a touch more alcohol here than the style kind of calls for. Or again, it could be something else. I did want to go back to flavor just very, very briefly. So I got a little hint of something that tasted like a little bit of a smokiness, just a hint of like a little ashiness or smokiness in the aftertaste. And that was kind of interesting. I don't know if that's supposed to be there, but it was like, it came out at me as it warmed up, and as I retasted it, I was like, I'm not getting it as much right now, until just very, very late in after the swallow, just a light little hint of smoke or ash, but it's not really too distracting. It's just an interesting kind of side note there. And then just the hops and the malt just linger long into the aftertaste. So that was kind of interesting, and I don't know what that is, but maybe something in the recipe that we'll get at.
It's ash. He put ash in it instead of
ash. Yeah, he added ash.
Instead of
let's just throw some ash in here. Yeah, it needs that, right?
Cigarette hanging out of the mouth.
Yeah.
Whoops. Oh, sorry. Yeah, my buddy Tom was smoking a little too much.
Instead of rice hulls, we just
Yeah. No, but it like maybe like something from the yeast, like the Scottish yeast kicks off a little smokiness sometimes, and but the German yeasts usually don't. So I don't know. Maybe some Scottish yeast snuck its way in there. I don't know. But and maybe I'm just off my rocker. We'll see if the other guys get that too. But yeah, this is a very enjoyable beer, and it contains most all of the desired flavors and aromas and other elements of a good German Altbier. It does seem just a touch big, and with I'm wondering if it has like a bit of an American edge to it with that kind of resiny character to the hop note than the beer should have. But maybe it's just because I'm tasting a fresh version of it for once, and not something that's just been aged and abused and sitting in a bottle and oxidized for months. But yeah, the aroma is just super inviting. It's mostly supposed to be kind of a bitterness thing. And I don't know if like the resininess could be coming alongside with a big bittering addition, but you could maybe back off the flavor hops just a touch and make sure you're using just that Spalt or Satz mainly. And also perhaps just dial back the ABV just a touch, but it's really an extraordinarily fun beer to taste. I gave it a 41 and I agree with, most everything Brian said there. Except for giving full points for appearance. You got to clear up that haze too. You got to get it nice and clear. And, these are usually, they're brewed as a low temperature ale and then they're lagered, it's alt beer is the old style of brewing beer. It's the ale, low temperature ale in Germany. That's like, they're known for their lagers, but in the old days, hey, it's, low temperature ale, and you do like throw it into that cave to lager it over the summer and and serve it properly. But it's really fun to taste this beer, and I hope you enter this in some competitions because it's really good. Although you might need small bottles. I don't know. Oh wow. And also the bottle's doing some fun stuff here. It's
interesting.
It's really spritzy. It's definitely like the carbonation is.
I don't have that in mind, so maybe that's a little bottle variation. David, why don't we go through your recipe, man?
All right. So let's go ahead and start with the grain. All right.
Okay.
Well, the water actually.
Yeah.
The water. So I use the Puyallup water profile. I live in Puyallup, Washington, so I use we got the Puyallup water profile and went from there. 4 grams of calcium chloride added, 2.5 grams of Epsom salt, and 1 gram of salt added to all that. Now, you want percentages, probably about 68% Pilsner malt. My local homebrew store did not have the German Pilsner. We used Rar. That's what we had. 19% Munich 2, about 5% aromatic, about 3% Carafa 1, 2.5% acidulated, and 2.5 Cara Munich 1. Those were our malts. Not sure where the smoky comes from, in all honesty.
Probably
for the hops. Okay.
Contamination.
Carafa, I think, is where it comes from, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Or the contamination in your bottle, because I don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, in that one particular sample, I don't know.
My first bottle didn't do that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. For hops, I used what we have in the freezer. So Northern Brewer, that was our bittering hop, about 1.25 ounce at boil, 60 minute. I'm sorry, we did a 90-minute boil on this. At 60 minute, we did, Northern Brewer. And then at 5 minute, 1 ounce of Willamette. Maybe that's for your American side. But Willamette, doesn't that substitute out as kind of more your European style hop?
Yeah, I mean, those aren't like citrusy American IPA hops by any stretch. So
no, not anymore.
No,
interesting. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
I did not want that.
Continue.
So now, fermentation. Generally, what I do is I'll take the range of temperatures on the yeast package. I'll start out at about 2 degrees higher what I have is a standalone chest freezer. Put the fermentation bucket in there with a blow-off hose, set the ink burn. So it's 2 degrees higher, and then I'll ramp it and walk it up till about 2 degrees lower than the highest temperature. That's how we do it. It dries beers out. For this one, reading the profiles, drying it out actually didn't seem like a bad idea anyway. But we tend to make big beers. We get a lot of crap from our homebrew club about the size of beers we make. So
I can imagine
our little alt beer ended up at 7.1%. So it is high.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
It is a bit high. And we just ferment the crap out of everything. I have no idea how it happens, except for maybe that walking up process. Probably has something to do with it. So that's a question. On some beer like this, should I just pick a temperature, pick it and stick with it and go with it?
I like the idea of walking it up, especially if you want to dry something out. But yeah, it's some people just stick at a consistent temperature and do a last little rest and they're done. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the key is finding yeast that you and figuring out how to work with it. And it sounds like you guys work with it well. I mean, the beer it's dried out. It works well. Happy. Yeah, it's pretty clean.
Yeah.
So
Imperial.
I think you're if you still want to keep blasting palates and alcohol levels, I think that's the way to go. Just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Or impressing judges that are whose palates are blown after judging a long flight of beers. Yeah. No, just you always like, I think Jamil, like in his book, he talks about that. Like, if you want to impress a judge, here's what you do. And like in this style, you want to lean towards the higher end of the alcohol for the style. Okay. So, I mean, that's weird to me. This is 7% because it doesn't taste like 7%. It tastes like, okay, maybe it could be pushing towards 6 or something like that, but it's so smooth and just, brewed that you don't get the 7, but all right.
There you go.
You and your son know how to push it to the edge.
We can make alcohol. That's for sure.
Americans.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
Dirty Americans try.
So, I started out at 58 degrees and walked it up really only to 63 and left there for about a little over, actually, I think we went over 2 weeks on this one. Just a little bit over 2 weeks.
It should be low temp. That's good.
Yeah. We use Imperial on pretty much everything.
Okay.
Imperial. This is Imperial Kaiser.
Okay.
It just seems to work every time. It never seems to fail.
Nice.
So, as far as the bottle, you had mentioned something about the bottles and the dishwasher and cleaning things out. So we do reuse these bottles, but yes, they're all cleaned out ahead of time. Then they're thrown in a dishwasher. Then they're thrown into Starzan.
Mm-hmm.
Starzan by 5-Star Chemicals.
That's right.
So
never let you
down.
We
like them, yeah.
Yeah. So we soak them for a while there. Then I got this pushy thing to push the Starzan up inside there, and then hung on a tree. I work in a hospital and I do sterile procedures. My son does food safety stuff for a manufacturing company. So we know about sterilization and we live and breathe. He'll actually call me out. That's got to sit for 2 minutes before you touch it. All right, fine. All right. He's always there to watch.
Yeah.
He is very particular about the way he does things. He has been known to pick a hop pellet or 2 out of the thing because it wasn't exactly right.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a little crazy, but that's all right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean a little bit, but hey man.
Very precise though. We try to keep things very precise.
Gotcha.
We're brewing. You had mentioned something about the mash and decoction and all that. Literally coolers. We got the round coolers. We got the round cooler for the mash. Another reason why we were called Shit Show is we had the worst false bottom issues, and then eventually I think it simply collapsed. It would just simply flatten out. I've had multiple beers where we have taken the cooler, dumped it after a 60-minute mash into another cooler, clean it all out, throw it back in.
No, dude.
Just take a scoop and ladles and pulling it out and straining it that way, and then throw it in a boil kettle. We've had some pretty big disasters. Got a new false bottom. Everything's awesome now.
Okay, there you go. All right, as long as that's fixed.
And then, So no, it's 60. It's a matter of a 60 or 90-minute mash in a cooler. Okay. That's really all it is. And then we trickle absolutely trickle that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
You run your hot liquor tank from above down in, and 168 degree water, and then just watch it trickle out very slowly, very slowly. We're very, very patient. That's another reason why I think our beers get a bit high. We get all the sugars out of it.
Yeah.
So maybe we could speed up our sparge, our lautering.
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit.
Yeah, you can leave some behind. You can also just, add a little more water. Stop collecting at a certain, gravity reading, even if you have some liquid left in the kettle, and top it off.
More time for trying to make more time for drinking beer, or what's the aim of that?
Well, you got that. You got that. Yeah, that happens. That happens. My wife's very good at putting together like jalapeno poppers and munchies and bringing them out to us.
Damn, bro.
At the base,
so that's all good. So it gives us more time to do that. It's a long process. It is.
I mean, if you're trying to lower the ABV, there's a couple tricks you can do, but it doesn't sound like you're trying to do that though.
Use less malt.
Use less malt, yeah. So we use Beersmith, and I had set it up at 80% brew house efficiency. In all honesty, most of ours come in at closer to 85% after all the stuff's done. So maybe I need to crank that up a little bit more. Yeah, a little less malt. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We would probably just do it.
Yeah.
Depends on what we're brewing, though. This one I probably should have backed off a little bit.
It's a very good beer, though. It's very, very flavorful. I like there's a lot of chocolate malt flavor. I know you didn't say anything about it, but there was that essence sort of in there, and I like that sort of. It's almost like a German winter warmer or something like that, where it's like very complex, very chewy almost, but on that alt beer, slant because of the yeast. Yeah. So I thought it was pretty good, man.
Well, good.
Yeah, I really liked
it.
It was very tasty. Just to get to style, you definitely want to back off the ABV a little bit, and I don't know that the Carafa is doing you too much of a favor in there, though. Was that what was the?
It's like 3%.
I think that's where the smoking is coming. Was it just a color edition, or what were you doing there?
It's like 3% Carafa 1, I think.
Yeah,
I thought that was a lot too. That number shocked me, and then the what was the other one? It was like Special Munich or something like that.
Munich 2.
Cara Munich. There you go. Yeah, I thought maybe that was a little higher, contributing.
Too much, or just skip it. I put 4 ounces in.
I think maybe too much. I wouldn't skip it.
Too much,
but I don't know enough about it.
2 ounces or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Sure.
I mean, you could tweak it a little bit and back it off, but this is all dependent upon or contingent upon if you're going to lower the ABV. I think because if you make some of these mid palate malt choices, and you still have that high alcohol, I think it's going to throw it out of whack. I don't know.
And it's funny too with your hops. Like I've been way guilty of like just what hops do I have around? What can I brew that's going to approximate? I want to brew this recipe, and here's what I have. It's not a German hop, but it will work for this style, hopefully. And substitution, you can look at the substitution charts and kind of figure out what might work.
It's in the Homebrewers Bill of Rights to do that.
But usually in my case, I'll fail miserably before I luck out like that and have it just come across pretty nicely with the style where it's like, oh, okay, that could be a German hop with a little American edge, but like if you could find, like if you're going to brew this for a competition, just find some Spalt and some Satz and just do it right. And like that hop was kind of twisting me in a weird way. Like I probably would have scored it higher if it was the hops were a little more right, but it wasn't
traditional.
It wasn't bad. It was like, it worked for the style. It was close enough, so you kind of lucked out there, I think.
Okay.
Fun beer though, for sure. Like, really, really tasty.
Most of these beers, I do all the recipes. I gave up on clones. I hate doing clones.
Yeah.
I can't get them right. We can't get them right. We can't. I get angry at
Don't do it, man.
So I've given up on that.
Use it as a base.
So a lot of times I'm sitting on an airplane. I don't fly that much, but when we're on an airplane, I will sit down with a little Beersmith and my little phone, and I'll start putting together a recipe, what I want to do. Or I'll take an old recipe that we did that I didn't really like so much and then redo it. And that's how we come up with these. And I'm not trying to kiss your ass because we already got the score, but I listened to your guys' podcast. But I'll listen to your guys' podcast and I'll think, that's a great idea.
Nice.
And I'll hear you talk about somebody else's beer and think, that's amazing. I got to do that. So then I'll go and I'll think about it in a particular beer and immediately run right to that beer and switch this out and change that out.
Well,
Nice. That's
on
cool,
the last
man.
show, we had
That's cool.
someone like kind of like take a recipe that they heard on one of our shows and twist it to their liking and made something that
go.
was really tasty
Which,
and fun.
to be honest with you, that's
Yeah.
the whole point why we started asking people about the recipes, is to do that. So people who have never
Okay.
brewed like an alt beer style, they can hear us talk about it and they go, I'm going to try that. So they would take your recipe and maybe either tweak it or not and see what, and it's just sort of like a community thing underneath the underneath the sort of underlying, you get a score and you get to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought it was
done.
really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's way better than the forums online. You throw something on a forum, you're going to get 50 different answers.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
And
Just
everybody's
don't do it.
absolutely right all the time. You know?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're right all the time here, too. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. We're never off our rockers
No.
ever.
No.
at all.
You got
Sorry.
the button.
Well, we are doctors homebrew. We do not commit malpractice by being wrong.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, good. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right, Dave, do you have anything else for the boys?
No. Oh, yeah, I do have one more question
Okay.
real quick.
Do it.
I hope this is a fast one.
Yeah.
So
Please.
we only bottle. We don't keg.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
all bottle
That's
conditioned.
good.
Bottled in June. We had a big heat wave here in the Pacific Northwest, so I had the
Yeah.
bottle sitting in our bedroom with the air conditioning on there. But lagering is done in kegs at 39 degrees. I can't do that with bottles because I can't recarbonate. How do I carbonate then? So I bottle condition. Then can I bottle a beer, set it at say 50 something for 2 weeks, and then drop it down to 39? Will that make a difference? Will that work?
Yeah. I mean, lagering is
And
just
that will
lagering is aging, so I think you can leave it out,
Right.
wait for the bottles to carbonate, and then
crash it
Condition.
basically.
yeah, that's the only way. That's Brian and Brian. Correct me if I'm incorrect on that, but you want everything to carbonate first, and then you
Yeah.
put them on for lager.
Well, I mean, usually, like when you're lagering, you're gonna chill it down to lager temperature when it has a few remaining, degrees of gravity to ferment out, and then it finishes out at the lower temperature as you slowly ramp down to that. So I think it's going to be different, but if you want to approximate it, that's not a horrible idea. And if you're limited to just bottles and that's what you got, that's fine. If you have a temp control unit and you can, take a beer and ramp it down to lagering temperature, you can still carbonate it. I mean, there's going to be some yeast left, or you could add fresh yeast to, when you add priming sugar to bottle, or if so you don't keg at all. There's no kegs
no
involved.
kegging, no
Yeah.
taps. Everything's bottled.
Yeah, nicely done there. The nice thing about bottling and bottle conditioning is that you avoid a lot of the trappings of getting oxygen in your beer at the end, and like re-fermentation and bottle conditioning a beer, is a good way to scavenge all the oxygen out of that bottle and end up with a beer that has no oxidation almost whatsoever. I mean, I can still get a little oxidation with some age if it's, it has some in there that didn't get scavenged by the priming yeast. But, wow, I mean, it's a good way to do it. I used to bottle everything myself too. And in a way I kind of miss those days, because it would kind of even out some of the mistakes I would make back in those times. I was like, oh, that's a good beer. And it just, it takes care of it. It's, it goes like, krausening is a really good way to go too. Like you add freshly fermenting beer as you're priming, sugar basically to the beer. And that's like kind of, that's the way the Germans did it, is, krausening is a German word. They added freshly fermenting beer to the beer that they were putting in a container to finish out and to carbonate. And you're approximating that with bottling sugar and that process. But, there's a little magic to krausening too. It's definitely
Well, you have to have another fermenting beer, basically.
Yeah, you have
for
to,
sure.
it takes planning and
It's hard to do on a homebrew scale, for absolutely.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think either way you're fine. That's I would just let them sit, carbonate, and then cold crash them. But apparently you can leave them at 50, and like Brian's saying, they'll carbonate, but slower because yeast is still active in there.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
But maybe take one and do it one way, and one and do it the other way, and see what happens.
Compare it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give it a try. What the heck?
Yeah.
That's why we homebrew. Experiment.
There you go. Yes, that's why.
Fun.
Just for experimenting.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've never been to Germany. But we make an alt beer.
There you go. Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
tasting good.
Get your son on with us next time.
Okay, we'll do.
Come over.
All right, Dave.
All right,
thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right, later.
Nice to see you. Cheers.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, everybody. We're going to come right back. We're going to wrap things up here on Dr. Homebrew. Hang on. We'll be right back.
The leader in affordable, high-quality kegerators is here. Introducing Komos, the kegerator designed with serious beer drinkers in mind. It features an all-stainless steel draft tower, a major upgrade over traditional chrome-plated brass towers, and Komos keeps your new tower cold with their air-cooled tower fan, wrapping your beer lines in frigid coolness. Your beer is poured from innovative forward-sealing faucets that don't leak, so they stay cleaner for longer. Dual gas inlets on the rear of the fridge allow you to run both CO2 and nitrogen gas. Serve your beer with CO2, serve your kegged wine or even cocktails with nitrogen. The digital temperature display has the largest range available, allowing you to use the Komos kegerator for fermentation if you need to. And now Komos kegerators ship with duo-tight draft fittings for that click-to-connect assembly we've all dreamed of. Buy direct from KomosDraft.com and receive free shipping on your order. That's KOMOS Draft.com.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
Look at that. We're still here, everybody, and so are you.
I just totally messed up your re-entry.
You sure did, but that's all right, Brian. It happens, and it's late
I was
enough
just looking
where
at
I
Brian,
don't
he's
care.
like
And
totally
you're still
focused
going.
on something there.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Hey, it's okay. If you want to be on this cool show, email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. Get your beer sent to us, and or your wine or your meat or whatever. Anything that you're fermenting at home, we will drink on the show and provide notes. And if we don't know anything about what we're talking about, we will find somebody to come on and do the judging with us to teach us a little bit too. Because, we're not wine experts, but if you want to send in your wine, all will get a wine expert on to taste your wine for you and teach us. Right,
or a cider expert, for example.
Anything, man.
We've had to resort to that before.
We definitely have. That is for sure. All right, everybody, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you listening to the show. There's a whole back catalog. I think this is, I don't even know what number this is. We're almost hitting 200 here for these
close
shows.
Yeah, getting close.
So check it out. And if you think about it, that's generally about 4 beers a show. I know we do commercial calibrations, and we've had shows where we just give information, but for the most part, 4 beers a show times 200. How many recipes is that? What is that, 800 recipes?
Well, no, it's two beers a show.
Yeah.
It's four beers like per night.
Oh yeah,
for us usually.
Yeah, that's right. Because we do it all.
Yeah,
the same
still,
time.
I know what you're trying to say.
You know what I'm trying to say.
And
there's a whole library.
We enjoy beer. That's what we.
How about this? Over 100 recipes. If you go back and listen to all 200 shows, I'll do math easy that way.
We should do a Dr. Homebrew book with all those recipes.
Yeah, just steal everyone's ideas.
Yeah, or we should all brew our favorite recipe from the show each, and then go head to head on that.
God, that would take going back and looking it up and listening to the show to figure out even what recipe it is, and all
right.
Yeah, it's a good idea. However, impractical. But
it's easier if people just send us good beer and we get to taste it.
That's true. Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you later.
Good night.
Cheers.